The Meridian conference room smelled like electrical fires and anxiety. Vance Reeves shifted uncomfortably in his formal suit, the tactical holster underneath pressing awkwardly against his ribs. As head of security for humanity's first diplomatic meeting with the Talari, he'd spent 3 sleepless nights running threat assessments. Now, watching the 7-foot, blue-skinned delegates glide through the doorway on what appeared to be personal gravity manipulators, he realized no simulation could have prepared him for this. "Remember," Ambassador Chen whispered beside him, "absolute transparency. They can detect physiological responses to deception." "Great," Vance muttered. "So they know exactly how terrified we all are." The tallest Talari, with silver markings along a high forehead, approached. Unlike the others, this one walked normally, deliberately making contact with the floor. A show of respect, according to the briefings. "I am Kira, first voice of the Talari consensus," the alien announced. Its voice had a peculiar harmonic quality, like multiple people speaking in perfect synchronization. "We come seeking understanding, not dominion." Ambassador Chen stepped forward with a practiced smile. "Humanity welcomes the Talari consensus." "I am." "You are irrelevant," Kira interrupted, head tilting as compound eyes focused not on Chen but on Vance. "This one carries death. This one speaks for your true intentions." The room froze. Vance felt 12 sets of human eyes burning into him. "I'm just security," he managed. "You are armed," Kira stated. "In a peace meeting." Ambassador Chen's diplomatic smile cracked. "A standard precaution." "We meant no deception," another Talari hissed, this one with green markings. "They conceal weapons while speaking of peace." The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Vance caught motion in his peripheral vision. Talari guards shifting positions, human security personnel tensing in response. "Where is your weapon?" Kira taunted, stepping closer to Vance. "Show us what you've hidden." Something in the alien's tone, a mixture of curiosity and challenge rather than outright hostility, gave Vance pause. 3 weeks of intensive xenobiological and cultural training flashed through his mind. "Here," Vance said calmly, pointing to his holstered 9mm pistol, making no move to draw it. "Standard issue. Nothing hidden." Kira made a sound like water hitting hot metal, laughter, possibly. "No. Where is your actual weapon? The one that matters." The room fell silent. Ambassador Chen looked ready to faint. "I don't understand," Vance admitted. "Your true weapon," Kira insisted, compound eyes shifting through spectrums visible even to human perception. "The one you would use if your survival truly depended on it." Vance felt a sudden insight click into place. The translation matrix might be technically perfect, but cultural context was another matter entirely. "My brain," Vance answered, tapping his temple. "My ability to think, to understand you, to find solutions that don't require using this." He patted the pistol. The atmosphere in the room transformed instantly. The hovering Talari descended to the floor. Kira's multiple pupils dilated in what the briefing material suggested was approval. "The human passes initial assessment," Kira announced to the other aliens. "It understands the hierarchy of force." Ambassador Chen looked from Vance to Kira, bewilderment clear on her face. "I don't." "Your species sends mixed signals," Kira explained, now addressing the entire human delegation. "Your transmissions celebrate violence, yet your diplomatic overtures speak of peace. You arm yourselves for peaceful meetings, yet claim to desire cooperation. Cognitive dissonance." "We brought security because we don't know you," Vance said before Chen could formulate a diplomatic response. "We're cautious, not hostile." "Yet you," Kira pointed at Vance, "recognize that physical weapons are inferior to cognitive ones. The others selected you wisely." The green-marked Talari approached, carrying what resembled a crystalline tablet. "Preliminary scan indicates neural capacity within acceptable parameters. Empathic potential present but underdeveloped." Ambassador Chen finally recovered her composure. Perhaps we should proceed with the formal introductions as planned. Unnecessary, Kira dismissed. We will negotiate with this one. That's not protocol, Chen objected, voice rising slightly. Security personnel don't have diplomatic authority. Kira's head tilted at an angle that made Vance instinctively uncomfortable. Then why is this one the only human who brought the correct weapon to a first contact? Before Chen could respond, the lights flickered. A subsonic vibration shuddered through the floor, rattling coffee cups and setting teeth on edge. Perimeter breach, announced a voice over the facility's comm system. Unknown energy signature detected in sectors 7 through 11. The Talari delegation instantly reformed into a defensive formation, their previously casual demeanor vanishing. You brought others, accused the green-marked Talari, upper limbs extending to reveal what were definitely not hands. No, Vance said firmly, keeping his own hands visible and away from his weapon. This isn't us. Deception, hissed another Talari. Your species specializes in deception, Kira said, but with less certainty. Those compound eyes studied Vance intensely. Yet your physiological responses suggest genuine surprise. The lights failed completely, emergency red lighting bathing the room in an ominous glow. Through the windows, Vance could see other buildings across the diplomatic compound going dark. If we wanted to attack, Vance reasoned quickly, why create this elaborate diplomatic meeting? We could have attempted something when your ship first entered orbit. The building shook again, harder this time. Dust filtered down from ceiling panels. Both delegations may be at risk, Vance continued, making a split-second decision. He slowly, deliberately removed his pistol and placed it on the conference table. I'm choosing to trust you. We need to evacuate together. Kira stared at the discarded weapon, then back at Vance. Curious strategy. Not strategy, Vance corrected. Survival. For all of us. A moment of absolute stillness followed, broken by the distant sound of explosions. Very well, Kira finally said. We will cooperate temporarily. The alien's gaze remained fixed on Vance. But remember, human, we recognize when a superior weapon is being deployed against us. Vance wasn't entirely sure if that was a threat or a compliment. But as he led both delegations toward the emergency evacuation route, he couldn't shake the feeling that the true first contact was only just beginning. The emergency stairwell echoed with the sound of multiple species in retreat, human footfalls mixing with the peculiar whispering glide of Talari movement. Vance led the way, mentally mapping their escape route while Ambassador Chen whispered furiously into her comm unit, trying to establish what exactly was happening outside. Our ship detects multiple energy weapons activating across your facility, Kira said, keeping pace just behind Vance. Yet you claim this is not your doing. If humans wanted to attack, Vance replied, checking around a corner before waving the group forward, we wouldn't start by trapping ourselves in the same building as you. Unless that provides convenient deniability, the green-marked Talari suggested. Or, Vance countered, someone else wants our first contact to fail. They reached the underground shuttle bay, where armored transport vehicles waited. The diplomatic corps security team was already engaged in a firefight at the far end of the bay. Sleek, quadrupedal drones with mounted weapons scuttled between vehicles, their design unlike anything in Earth's arsenal. Those aren't ours either, Vance noted, ducking behind a concrete pillar as energy pulses scorched the air. Kira's compound eyes shifted through spectrum ranges. Nor ours. The technology appears, composite. Familiar elements reconfigured. Ambassador Chen joined them, breathless. Command says the attack is happening at all diplomatic facilities simultaneously. They're jamming orbital communications. Someone's trying to trigger an interspecies war, Vance concluded. Kira made that strange metallic laughing sound again. And humans accuse us of paranoia. Got a better explanation? Many, Kira replied. But yours applies adequately to available evidence. A drone spotted them, scuttling rapidly in their direction. Vance reached instinctively for his weapon before remembering he'd left it in the conference room. Disadvantaged without your metal projectile launcher? Kira asked, with what Vance could swear was sarcasm. Actually, Vance said, studying the approaching drone, I noticed these things have excellent front-facing sensors but poor coverage on the ventral side. He grabbed a piece of broken concrete. Sometimes primitive works best. He hurled the chunk with precision, hitting the underside of the drone as it climbed over a barricade. The machine flipped, exposing its belly, and Vance was on it immediately, jamming another concrete fragment into what appeared to be a cooling intake. The drone shuddered, emitted a high-pitched whine, and went still. Primitive indeed, Kira observed, yet effective. The green-marked Talari approached, examining the disabled drone. This incorporates elements of both human and Talari design, yet belongs to neither. A third party, Vance suggested, with access to both our technologies. Impossible, Chen interjected. We've never shared. Your species broadcasts all knowledge openly, Kira interrupted. Your internet contains detailed schematics of your technologies, accessible to anyone with basic signal interception capabilities. And the Talari components? Vance asked. Kira's silver markings shifted subtly. We have rivals. The consensus is not universal. An explosion rocked the far side of the shuttle bay. Time was running out. We need to reach the emergency command center, Chen insisted. It's hardened against attacks. And conveniently places us in a human-controlled bunker, the green-marked Talari noted suspiciously. Vance studied Kira, making a decision. You have superior sensory capabilities. Can you detect where these drones are coming from? Kira's compound eyes fixed on Vance with an intensity that made him fight the urge to step back. You would trust Talari perception over your own security protocols? Right now, I trust results over protocol. Kira made a gesture to the other Talari, who responded with movements too subtle for human eyes to interpret meaningfully. Finally, Kira turned back to Vance. The attack originates from sublevel 3. Your facility's computer core. That's impossible, Chen protested. Those areas are biometrically secured. Yet here we are, Vance said dryly. He turned to Kira. I'm going down there. You're welcome to send one of your people to observe, if you don't trust me. I will accompany you myself, Kira stated. Chen grabbed Vance's arm. This violates every security protocol we have. With respect, Ambassador, someone's already done that for us. Vance gently removed her hand. Get everyone else to the command center. Navigating to sublevel 3 meant traversing darkened maintenance corridors lit only by emergency lighting. Vance moved carefully, aware of Kira gliding silently beside him. Your ambassador fears this is a ploy to expose me to classified areas, Kira observed. Is it working? Vance asked. I have already mapped your entire facility through passive scanning, Kira replied. If domination were our goal, your secrets would already be ours. That's not completely reassuring. Was it meant to be? Vance suppressed a smile despite the circumstances. No. Fair point. They reached the server core access, finding the heavy security door already breached. Inside, instead of human infiltrators, they discovered something neither had expected, a hybrid interface of human equipment and distinctly alien technology, pulsing with energy as it executed its attack protocols. That's definitely not standard government issue, Vance muttered, studying the setup. Kira moved closer to the apparatus. This bears markers of Savan technology. A species we encountered 3 stellar cycles ago. They disappeared shortly after refusing assimilation into the consensus. You're saying they're extinct? I am saying they are no longer encountered, Kira corrected carefully. Now we know why. The implication sent a chill through Vance. They're using us to fight their battle against you. Elegant strategy, Kira acknowledged. Allow old enemies to eliminate each other. The hybrid machine pulsed more intensely, its cycles accelerating. It's adapting to our presence, Vance noted. Can you disable it? Not without triggering failsafes, Kira replied after briefly interfacing with the technology. It is designed to maximize damage if tampered with. Vance studied the setup, thinking rapidly. So we need your knowledge and my, what did you call it? Cognitive weapon. Your capacity for irrational connections does appear suited to this scenario. Thanks. I think. Vance circled the apparatus. The Savans designed this to trigger when tampering was detected. But what if we don't tamper with it? What if we communicate with it instead? Kira's head tilted. Explain. It's running on our hardware but with your data protocols. Neither of us can interface with it alone, but together. Vance gestured between them. We might be able to convince it we're authorized users. A deception, Kira noted, with something approaching approval. Your species does excel at those. Working together proves surprisingly effective. Kira's knowledge of Savan protocols combined with Vance's understanding of Earth's security systems allowed them to gradually establish limited communication with the hybrid system. Rather than trying to shut it down, they subtly redirected its attack protocols, turning its drones against each other instead of human and Talari targets. As the last connection fell into place, the machine's hostile pulsing changed to a steady, more subdued rhythm. Did it work? Vance asked, wiping sweat from his forehead. A distant rumbling of explosions answered his question, but the pattern had changed. The drones were now targeting each other. A temporary solution, Kira noted. The system will eventually recognize the deception. But it buys us time to evacuate both delegations. They made their way back up, finding human and Talari security forces now working in uneasy cooperation against the diminished drone threat. Ambassador Chen rushed to Vance, relief evident on her face. The attacks are faltering. What did you do? Made an ally, Vance replied, nodding toward Kira. And identified our actual enemy. After the immediate crisis passed, both delegations gathered in the command center. The atmosphere had transformed, suspicion remained, but was now directed outward rather than at each other. The Savans will try again, Kira told the assembled group. They are persistent and possess technology that combines the worst aspects of both our species. Then perhaps we should consider combining the best aspects instead, Vance suggested. Ambassador Chen looked hesitant but nodded slowly. A defensive alliance, at minimum. More than that, Kira said, compound eyes fixed on Vance. A recognition that our greatest weapons are neither projectiles nor energy beams, but the capacity to understand those different from ourselves. Is that what you meant? Vance asked. When you asked about my real weapon. The Talari learned long ago that destructive tools are merely extensions of cognitive intent, Kira explained. We needed to determine whether humans understood this hierarchy. You, at least, demonstrated this understanding. So that whole confrontation was a test. All first contacts are tests, Kira replied. Few species pass them without bloodshed. As formal negotiations resumed, now with Vance included at the table, he couldn't help but appreciate the irony. His career in security had been built around mastering weapons and anticipating threats, yet it was his willingness to set aside those weapons that had ultimately proven most valuable. The Talari delegation prepared to depart for their orbiting ship, but Kira lingered briefly beside Vance. Your weapon served you well today, human. Vance smiled. Yours too, first voice. Next time, Kira added, with that strange harmonic that might have been humor, perhaps bring a more impressive projectile launcher as well. Savans respond to multiple forms of persuasion. As the blue-skinned figure glided away, Vance laughed for the first time in what felt like weeks. The universe, it seemed, had an unexpected sense of humor after all.